Good morning, I'm Matt, and welcome to the MrMaple premiere for the 10 at 10. Today's 10 at 10 is for August 16th of 2022.
Hey, I'm Tim. Make sure you like this video, and if you're not signed up for our weekly emails on MrMaple.com, go sign up for them. We're MrMaple.com, a mail-order business based in Western North Carolina that ships directly to your door. We have over 1,000 varieties of Japanese maples, and we let our customers know about all the cool, neat plants through our 10 at 10 emails that are coming out through the pipeline every Tuesday at 10 a.m. So make sure you're subscribed to this YouTube channel, but make sure you're subscribed to our weekly email because we're actually listing 20 plants today, not just the 10 we're talking about here on the table.
Guys, before we get started, we love all those comments on the premiere. I love to see where everybody's from. Shout out to our international community. I apologize we can't ship to you guys directly, but we so much appreciate you watching, and we're so flattered by you being here to tune in. So let us know in the comments below where you're from when you're watching this video. I love to see where everybody's gardening at. And I love the community we're building here in the comment section. We're passionate about Japanese maples and we love sharing that with other people. And it's so fun to find like-minded people, and just, it's almost like a fellowship going on down there in the things, because I feel like I get to catch up with all my buddies that are talking to us there every Tuesday. And we really, really appreciate that. It's a lot of fun, and I really appreciate everybody that tunes in, no matter where you're at. But we greatly appreciate everybody joining us today. We're gonna get into 10 trees that we have here today on the table, and I think you're gonna like some of these. Some of these are gonna be really popular for us.
There's some pretty cool ones. The first one on the table back over here on the right is Acer palmatum Shadow Selection. This has also been under the name Hillier Selection because Don Shadow originally got this tree from Sir Harold Hillier.
Yeah, shout out to Don Shadow. He helped mentor some in the nursery industry, and just a legend of the American nursery industry for sure there, Don Shadow. And that's where it gets the name Shadow Selection. There's actually a large tree there near his office that has become Shadow Selection. Don and Brian Upchurch were grafting this tree, and it had such amazing fall color. It ended up getting in the trade under the name Shadow Selection, and it is a brilliant, this tree's gonna leaf out, you know, kind of a mauve color with some greener growth, but some blushing over top of that. During the summer, it's more of a green, but this tree has some electric shades in the fall, from yellows to oranges, with yellows with overlays of oranges in it. And that's why Brian and Don got this grafted and back into the trade under the name under the name Shadow Selection, because of that amazing yellow fall color.
Now, Sir Harold Hillier did a bunch of crazy stuff back in the day. He would hide Air Force bases and runways by rolling out trees on rollers to protect England's runways. I mean, crazy stuff. And Don knew him personally, and this is one of the plants he got from him. And the thing I like about this plant, it's got some cool history behind it. I mean, if you're into history, it's definitely a plant that's got a lot of neat history behind it. But we talked about the fall color is electric, but the spring color, when it's leafing out, it really has this weird metallic color that's unlike many other Japanese maples. It's like this metallic, bronzing, that's hard to describe. It's amazing in the springtime when it's first leafing out.
I got to go to Sir Harold Hillier. Maybe one day we'll get to go back with a camera. It was before the days of I knew what to video and what to take pictures of. I'd love to get back there, talk about some of the maples going on at Sir Harold Hillier Gardens. It's a historic place for maples there in the UK.
But this one gives a consistent fall color, and it's one of the reasons Don loved it is he's got such a gorgeous specimen sitting right there at his office that just lights up with yellows infused with oranges on the Shadow Selection. Awesome plant.
Now, next up we have another Area 51 plant. This is one we put a name on but didn't select. This was selected by our friend Bobby Green. We put the name Shazam on it. This is an amazing maple. One of the reasons it got the name Shazam is the large foliage. This one has some gigantic foliage mixed in with some smaller foliage, so it's really unique. It's actually the largest foliage I've ever seen on an Acer palmatum. So the foliage on this can rival Acer japonicums for some of that dinner plate size foliage.
I mean, I could see that guy from Nick at Night going, Shazam!
Right.
But it's actually named after the superhero guy that's a little boy that then Shazam and grows really big. And that's because of that new foliage that's popping up on it. This was just a chance tree that was growing in Bobby Green's father's home, and it was amazing. I mean, we actually...
Yeah, he sent us some pictures of it. He said, guys, is this something you'd be interested in? And I'm like, that looks crazy. He said, I don't know if it's going to replicate from grafts, so we started grafting it for him. We've been growing this here probably over 8 to 10 years now.
And it definitely has.
Oh, and I've had some of the largest foliage I've ever seen here on this plant. And it continues to surprise me and catch my interest every single year. It's gonna be a red upright with bold red fall color. But what makes this one so special are you'll have some foliage on this tree that is truly you know, dinner plate size. It's huge. Like, I got some big old mitts, and some of those foliage will be bigger than my hands. So.
And it is one that just randomly puts off these large foliage. So you'll get both the large foliage and the smaller foliage, making this a very unique red upright. Gomer Pyle is what I was thinking.
Oh,
it's not a Gomer Pyle reference. It is a DC Comics reference. Awesome plant, but a plant you'll really love.
So another tree that we helped popularize but didn't necessarily name, you know, we kind of claim this one here in the Area 51 collection, but it's not really our own tree.
Yeah, a guy named Richard who was down in South Carolina with the master gardeners down there. He became a good friend, a good customer of ours. He had a nursery called Monticello Gardens. And this was a seedling selection that he'd made at his gardens that really did well for him down the heat in Columbia, South Carolina.
Yeah, he's passed on now, but we really appreciated him getting this tree to us. It was a true legacy plant. He loved this plant because it handled the heat right outside of Columbia and kept amazing colors. And that was really why it was selected. Monticello Gardens continued to have amazing color year after year. And the heat of right outside of Columbia, South Carolina, it's a great grower for us. This one is very popular. It sells out pretty quickly for us. It's got a great leaf shape. It's got a great color to it. And it's a very, very durable weeping form for sure.
I would say the leaf shape is more like Orangeola, but the color is more like a Tamukiyama. I mean, that's really what we're talking about, is a really uniquely shaped, very ornamental red lace leaf. And Richard really did a good job of selecting this one too. And right outside of Columbia is the Monticello area. And that's where he had Monticello Gardens, which was his small backyard nursery he ran.
Yeah, really nice guy. He always come up here and shopped with us a lot and just had really nice things to say about us. And we love when we get to talk to nurserymen. We always say, you know, what did you introduce? What did you wish you'd introduced? And he was really big on this plant. He said, I haven't really had it grafted, got us some of the original signs off of it. And we ran with it. It's been a winner for us. We used to do a lot of garden shows in Columbia, South Carolina, and it was particularly popular for that region, for that heat tolerant, bold red.
Yeah, definitely a good plant.
So another Area 51 tree. We're on a roll here today. We've got Acer palmatum watermelon. Now this was a seedling we selected here because we loved the two-tone colors of late summer that had bright shrimp pink to yellows to that kind of rind green older color.
Now, when this plant's leafing out too, the petioles that are coming off are a bright pink. And so right as those leaves are unfurling, you get that green with pink that's just spectacular. And so it's definitely got some watermelon effects in the spring, some watermelon effects in the summer. And, you know, you got to name a tree watermelon.
Yeah, we're being in the South. We love this here. It just blew us away. The colors were spectacular. It really gets some nice divides. It almost has that like fruit looping for a better chance of colors where you get like the brightest pink, then a little bit of mango, then some yellow, then greener older growth. And so it really goes through some great color patterns. Excellent grower for us here. It's going to be typically a 5x5 even in 10 years. More of that cascading umbrella. Very durable. Put this one in some sun, you'll get a little bit more of that watermelon effect late summer with sun. This can handle full sun up to zone 8. It's going to work zones 5 through 9, but full sun very well in a deep zone 8.
Now, we went through about 500 lace leaf seedlings from upright Matsumaris at my dad's house. We went through and found all the seedlings from those, numbered them out, and watched each and every one. Most of them aren't winners. If you look through a lot of lace leaf seedlings, you can find some neat plants out there, but is it truly cultivar worthy? This one for us definitely stood out. It was a great grower even as a seedling.
Every year that color kept drawing us back to this one, especially midsummer. I mean, it really just was like the coolest looking thing. You know, we had it set back as just a random seedling in the Area 51 area, and it just kept catching our eye every single year to where like, why aren't we doing more of this one? It's beautiful.
And this one for me was just one that was really unique and different. Matt and I both tagged it. We said, that's a winner. Let's watch it some more. And the more we watched it, the more we liked it. And when there's a plant like this that's been successfully introduced for us, there's many that weren't.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, there was probably close to 500 other seedlings that didn't make the cut.
Just didn't have the color this one had.
Yeah, exactly.
They were very similar, but you know, sister seedlings, they just didn't quite live up to the hype this one had.
Yeah. So next up, we have Acer palmatum Genie's Dream.
Yeah, I think we could have a theme today for trees that are friends or we named, right? I think all these are like good buddies of ours that come up with plants. This one's no exception. Genie's Dream, introduction by Dr. Bill Shell down there in Auburn, Alabama. I like to think of this one as a great accompaniment to Shiranami. It's like the Stay Pink Shiranami. This one leaves out an intense, bright, like just hot pink color, and a really, really beautiful plant.
The thing I like about it is the leaf shape is so unique. The leaf is a very crisp leaf, stands out from the crowd. It has a very divided leaf, but not like a burgundy lace. It has a very rounded leaf, but not like an Emperor One.
Yeah.
When customers come to the nursery, they walk to this plant often. And
especially in early spring.
Yeah, when we had a lot of in-person sales, we always sold these first because everyone would walk to them and say, wow, that looks really cool. What is that? It's really different. And the leaf shape is very unique and definitely very different for an upright.
We donated one of these to the J.C. Ralston Arboretum there in Raleigh on the campus of NC State. And one of the benefits of that is everybody sees that tree and they call us asking for Genie's Dream. So whenever this one's in stock, people that have seen that tree typically come a call. And it's a really nice plant, mid-sized plant, 10 to 12 feet. Awesome color patterns though, and just very, very showy. Again, an introduction by our friend Dr. Bill Shell down there in Auburn, Alabama, so very heat tolerant for that. Named for his sister, Genie.
Yeah, awesome plant. A great red upright that's very unique and very different.
So next up we have Acer palmatum Oburyama.
I like this one because it's really unique in its habit. I mean, this is a plant that has that semi-pendulous to the fullest effect. I mean, it's not quite cascading like a lace leaf, but it can definitely have a lot of lateral branches that arch downward. And often you'll see this plant as it matures, often will form specimens that are much wider than they are tall because of how semi-pendulous those branches are to the sides.
Very unique in its structure. Also, excellent fall color. I mean, it's yellows to oranges, often really bold oranges. Very fun plant for a container garden. You can just get some really unique shapes out of this one. You know, semi-upright means that it's going to naturally want to be upright, but it has branches that weep down from there. And just a great plant. Also some great sizes. You know, we keep telling you guys, but now's a great time of the year to buy because it's that time of the year where things are large in 1 gallon. So some excellent size ones right now. And I think you're going to like, you're probably familiar with the Moriyama, but I think you're going to like this one if you add it to your collection.
And this one too also makes a great container plant. I mean, an excellent container plant. Some of our photos are of a Moriyama in containers. Great because it has that lateral growth to it and a slightly shorter stature to it. Amazing plant. I would say in hotter zones, you definitely want to give some protection from the hot afternoon sun for a Moriyama, but this one is one that's very unique and very different.
Really nice lush green on this in the early spring too. It's a very crisp green color.
So next up, we've got Mikazuki, and I hadn't put it yet on our Ghost series, but this was the very first Japanese maple that Talon Buchholz introduced. That's a reticulated type that didn't get the term ghost attached to it. Mikazuki actually translates as crescent moon, and that's because in the fall, this one really goes to some really nice shades of yellowy orange. And with this unique leaf shape, crescent moon was a great description of that.
Really fun colors on this one. You know, you've heard us describe some as metallic-y purple. You really don't get much more metallic-y purple than Mikazuki. That color, it just gets really funky. It's a very unique color amongst
like almost a pink purple.
Yeah, it's a hard one to describe. I mean, it definitely has a lot of shades in there. If you're giving it early morning sun, late day shade, you can get even more color in there. But yeah, it's an amazing plant. I love it. It's a good grower for us too. Typically puts on over a foot of growth a year. I would consider it one of the bigger ones of the ghost types.
So right now in our summer heat here in August, in the cold frames we've got, they're a lot greener than the Mikazuki. But if you give it some protection from the hot afternoon sun, you can extend that spring color display longer to the season to really enjoy those pink purples that you're talking about. And this one is an amazing plant that puts on a spring display that's very unusual, very different. But the leaf shape on Mikazuki is very different as well. And it can get really wavy at times.
Oh yeah, almost looks like hands sometimes.
Yeah. And that's really that crescent moon, that unusual leaf shape. It's probably, not being labeled ghost, one of the more eerie looking plants with a leaf than any of the other maples.
This could have been cousin ghost, but just no moss on the ghost. Oh, I got a nice one here to surprise you guys with. Next up here on the table, we have Acer palmatum Catalina Yatsubusa. I think your guys are going to love this one. Check out our video on variegated Macaulay Yatsubusas. Really fun color patterns on this one. It's a variegated Macaulay Yatsubusa form. I don't know if we need to say anything else. I could probably set the tree down now, but it is super interesting. It's going to have that Dr. Seuss-like variegation to it, where it has some swirling kind of yellow lime green on dark green colors to it. Very unique tree, and it tends to be a little bit more upright than some of the others, like lily pad. So where lily pad tends to be spreading, it tends to be a little bit more conical in its shape.
Love this plant. Check out our full video we recently did on Acer palmatum Catalina Yatsubusa. This plant is just very unusual, very different. If you love macabre variants like we do, and you like variegated plants, look no further. Catalina Yatsubusa, this plant is simply amazing.
Hey, we might have mic drop for a few people on that one right now. Be ready at 10 a.m. We always try to make it fair for everybody to get plants like this. I know this one's gonna be very popular today, so be ready at 10 a.m. They will sell out quickly. You know, we always try to make as many available and as easy as possible, so be ready at 10 a.m. for this if this is something you're interested in. I think it's a very worthwhile variegated macawa, and one you're definitely going to want to add to the collection. I'm a big fan of this one.
And y'all hear me say this every week, and if you're checking out every week, you know this, but make sure you check out with them very quickly. Adding them to your cart doesn't hold the plant for you. So if you're watching this, make sure to check out very quickly so you can actually get the Catalina Yatsubusa, because it's an amazing plant.
Those are going to be moving on pretty quickly, I believe.
We have a lot of them being listed, but there will be a lot of people from our list who are watching this video who don't get to check out quick enough. So try to check out as quickly as you can so you can get one of those headed your way.
And remember, our launches are at 10 a.m. Eastern time, so if you're in another time zone, be prepared that we're on 10 a.m. Eastern Daylight Savings Time there. So just be ready for that. Next up on the table,
Acer palmatum Orion.
So check out our full video on Orion. We've got a full video on that too. We're gonna make a checklist at some point and go down every single video we've done. It's getting kind of crazy at this point, but we really love making these videos for you daily. And I think Orion is one that you're gonna wanna add to your collection. This is another broom that's gonna pair super well with something like Shana because it has so many different color changes. Definitely check out our Red Maple Nurseries Part 1 and 2 videos on Red Maple Nurseries that named Orion. But a really unique broom with a lot of color palette changes.
Yeah, I love this because it really goes to that yellow color in the fall. You've got a red dwarf broom with yellow fall color. Starkly different from a lot of other cultivars.
I think that one shocks a lot of people. It doesn't look like the same.
And it's got that rounded habit, which makes it a great container plant. Also a great plant for just small places in the landscape and garden, but an amazing plant that is spectacular. I mean, there aren't a lot of dwarfs that are red that go to yellow. This is one of the few, and this is a plant that's gonna give you some really nice contrast throughout the season.
Yeah, I love this plant. Great candidate for container planting, as Tim was saying. They're gonna work zones 5 through 9, but remember in the container that takes it down one zone. So last but certainly not least up here on the table, we have Acer circinatum Pacific Fire.
So Acer circinatum Pacific Fire is a coral bark selection of a native circinatum that's indigenous to the Pacific Northwest. The cool thing is it's obviously hybridized with the Japanese maple, likely a sengukaku, and so the bark intensifies up to some of the most intense colors of red during the winter, for that red-orange.
Yeah, big round foliage too. I mean, this is a North American native, but you can also think of this one, you know, we don't consider those in the full moon category, but this may be the closest we get to a coral bark full moon type. It's gonna have a large round leaf to it that's really nice and crisp. I think it's an excellent cultivar for that spring interest, but winter months, that's when it's really at its fire, and you're gonna get a whole bunch of red to even dark red on the bark. Great winter interest plant though, and I think it's one that you'll wanna add to your collection for sure.
Now, I like the Acer circinatum selections. You wanna give them some protection from the hot afternoon sun in the deep south. They do fantastic in full sun, typically in the Pacific Northwest and some parts of the Pacific Northeast. But in the deep south, make sure to give them some protection from the hot afternoon sun, but you still want to give it some morning sun or some sunlight to really pick up that bark interest.
Really unique vine maple, one of my favorite vine maples.
One of the things I like about this selection of coral bark is this is one that often holds that coral bark on even much older growth. I mean, you can see a really old Pacific Fire, and the old wood that is, 7 to 10 years old can often still have some red bark to it. So really amazing and special in that regards. But it's a very unique tree that is very different and is the only coral bark maple that has that more rounded leaf. I mean,
very unique. Very outside the box, one of the most unique coral bark types for sure.
And the fall colors on this can range from yellow to pink to orange to even sometimes some reds. Really a cool plant with some unique winter interest.
So I hope everybody enjoyed this one. We try to bring it every week for you guys. We really appreciate you tuning in. We really try to just bring the most unique stuff we can to every single 10 at 10. Again, the theme for this one could be introduction to friends of ours, because pretty much all these are introductions of friends of ours at some point, but some really fun, amazing plants. And I think some that you might not have seen on MrMaple in a while, like the, especially the watermelon and the Shazam and the Monticello Gardens. I think those are probably going to be some big hits. I know Catalina Yatsubusa ain't lasting long, but I think those are also going to be some solid, high interest plants right there as well. And
you got to realize we're passionate about this, so we work hard. It's not easy to bring you 20 items every single Tuesday, at least 10 items every single Tuesday at 10 a.m. It's a lot of work for us to keep throwing some fun and interesting things out there for you. And I hope you enjoy this assortment that we bring to you each and every week.
Hey, it means a lot to us. Our whole team puts a lot of effort into these videos, from us coming up with things to tell you to Brian shooting and making us look better than we are. And so we greatly appreciate you subscribing and sharing to our YouTube channel. That goes a long way. And hey, check out some of our non-10 at 10 items. If you're a 10 at 10 viewer, those are quickly becoming some of our most popular weekly videos. We've got some amazing content out there where we're doing some deep dives on collections, from the Pendulous Treasures collection, the Heat Seekers collection, the Ghost series, some different really interesting plants, as well as individual cultivar highlights. So if you're new to our channel, definitely go check out our full catalog here on MrMaple. We're gonna be doing some amazing garden tours coming up. I just lined up a big one I think you guys are gonna really like. We'll announce that soon, but some really fun garden tours in the works.
And also, if you love the 10 at 10 stuff and you're shopping the 10 at 10 every week, I know you jump right to that 10 at 10 button and go look and see what's getting listed there. Don't forget, we offer some really neat rare azaleas on MrMaple.com and some other interesting rare plants. And I think a lot of times people run to the Fun Flower Friday and to the 10 at 10, but they don't always see all those rare plants and conifers that we list on MrMaple. So make sure if you're checking out, you can go ahead of time and go shop the other items, like the rare plant section, the conifers, the native azaleas, and the evergreen azaleas before the 10 at 10 hits. And then your shopping cart's already ready to add on the Catalina Yatsubusa and the Monticello Gardens when 10 a.m. hits.
I get people all the time, they're like, oh, you guys offer conifers? Like, we were walking around a garden the other day with my sister-in-law, was like, I didn't know you carried that conifer. I'm like, come on now. But we have some amazing conifers and content as well. If you would like to see a 10 at 10 style video for Fun Flower Friday content, let us know in the comment section below. We might start premiering a second video on that kind of content. Let us know if that's something you'd tune in for, you'd be interested in. Maybe some content we work toward in the future here. We greatly appreciate you tuning in.
Our open house.
Yeah, let's go ahead and mention that too.
So we've got a summer open house. It's coming up. It's on Saturday, September 3rd from 8 a.m. to 12 noon. That's a strong cutoff.
Hard cutoff, guys, at 12.
And then we're also doing it on the Monday, which is Labor Day itself.
The 5th.
The 5th, September 5th, 8 a.m. to noon again. Again, you don't want to wait on purchasing these until then, because a lot of these items will be sold out by then, but we'll have more things than you saw at the spring open house available right now during the summer, with some really good summer sizes and some things that are future 10 at 10 items, all available on those open houses.
So again, that's September 3rd, 8 to 12, and September 5th, 8 to 12. Those will be the late open house there on Labor Day weekend. We hope you're interested in joining us for that. It's gonna be a lot of fun. And some plants we hadn't even listed before on MrMaple will be available that day. We're working on possibly even getting some merch for that day. We'll see if it gets here in time, but we may have some MrMaple hats and t-shirts available for purchase then. We're working on getting some of that for everybody, so don't worry, that might be coming soon too. We so greatly appreciate you tuning in, and don't forget to check out the 10 at 10 when the full thing launches today at 10 a.m. Eastern.
Take care.
God bless.
And have a great day.